This is going to be a committee that is going to enjoy a lot of attention from our people. How it conducts itself and how its own members conduct themselves. That is what will build confidence in our people that indeed we're going to find them justice.
In South Africa, allegations of corruption and political interference are nothing new. But when Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made explosive claims about wrongdoing inside the police and government, Parliament was forced to act. An ad hoc committee was formed, set to begin work on the 1st of September. Yet instead of answers, South Africans got another delay. Why? Today, we investigate whether this was a procedural stumble or a deliberate tactic to bury the truth. Lieutenant-General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is no stranger to controversy. Known for his outspoken stance on policing and corruption, he has clashed with powerful political figures before. In 2025, he leveled fresh allegations, implicating senior officials and exposing deep fractures between law enforcement and politics. These claims were serious enough to trigger a parliamentary inquiry, a rare step in South Africa's political landscape. The announcement of an ad hoc committee was meant to restore faith in the system, a signal that Parliament was willing to confront the allegations head-on. The committee was given the task of investigating, calling witnesses, and producing a report that could have far-reaching consequences. Ad hoc committee's mandate: investigate allegations, summon witnesses, report findings. But when the committee was due to begin hearings, nothing happened. September 1st came and went. The reason, officials said, was simple. The terms of reference had not yet been finalized. Opposition parties demanded broader powers. ANC pushed for narrower scope. Multiple amendments stalled agreement. Without terms of reference, the committee could not legally proceed. Critics saw this as more than a bureaucratic hiccup. It was the first sign that the process itself might be compromised. On the 3rd of September 2025, Action SA through MP James issued a press statement titled, "Action SA rejects improper summoning of witnesses by ad hoc committee chairperson in contradiction of terms of reference." In that statement, Action SA said, "Members of the ad hoc committee have had to learn through media reports that witnesses have been improperly called, without consultation, without adherence to due process, and in direct contradiction to the terms of reference adopted by the committee. They specifically point to Clause 5.5.6 of the finalized terms of reference, which says that the entire committee, not the chairperson acting alone, must determine the sequencing and appearance of witnesses." In a sharp rebuke, committee members rejected the ANC's proposal to give sweeping powers to the chairperson and evidence leaders, a move critics said would tilt the process in the ruling party's favor.
The evidence presenter shall, subject to the committee's approval, determine the extent of the sensitivity of evidence at a given time and make a determination on the relevance of such evidence and how it will be held or dealt with. I think we're amplifying the point that sensitivity is subjective, and we would obviously need the committee to approve what is considered sensitive and how it must be dealt with. We did propose that the chairperson can determine the sequence of witnesses and when they will be called to give evidence. Again, this is not to gag anybody, but for the orderly functioning of the committee, that the chairperson may have discretion in terms of how the witnesses are sequenced, but also obviously making sure that all witnesses afforded an opportunity to appear before the committee.
James responded by saying,
In response to the ANC, we can live with this submission, but we can't support the submission regarding the chairperson's discretion in determining the appearance of witnesses. I'm just looking at page 17, the last submission. Chairperson shall be empowered to determine the sequencing in which witnesses are called to give evidence. We reject that. It has to be the committee. Witnesses questioning is to be subjected to reasonable limitations. We also reject that. It must be the committee. And then also the ANC's last point about time limitations to be determined by the chairperson. We've already dealt with that when the committee agreed to Action SA submission. So it is then automatically discarded, I would think. No need to consider it since we're going back and forth now. Also, can we also please avoid the chairperson from deciding? Instead, it must prioritize facilitating, the chairperson must prioritize facilitating joint decision making given the nature of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Leanne said.
On the issue of the evidence leader making a decision on which witnesses must appear before us and who mustn't, I don't think we must allow that much power to be given primarily to the evidence leader. I do think they have the capacity, obviously, to determine whether the evidence, the witness is going to provide to the committee is necessary. But we must also, as members of the committee, be able to engage the evidence leader and also for the evidence leader to give us a report or tell us in a meeting, we have excluded this witness because of X, Y, and Z. It can't be that the evidence leader is going to lead in that regard and members of the committee have no say, or we don't even know that a particular witness has come forward and the evidence leader has disregarded them. So there just needs to be some form of reporting that, for example, 10 people came forward and wanted to be witnesses, and out of these 10, we don't think 6 is appropriate for that, and just have that level of engagement with the committee members in the interest of transparency.
According to the draft rules, only the full committee can decide who testifies and in what order. By bypassing this process, the chair was accused of undermining transparency and credibility. This sparked suspicions. Was the ruling party trying to control the narrative, choosing which voices would be heard and which silenced? For some observers, these disputes revealed a deeper political strategy. The opposition accused the ANC of deliberate sabotage, using procedure and delays. To protect allies and manage political fallout, supporters of the ruling party, on the other hand, argued the chairperson was simply trying to ensure order and efficiency. Meanwhile, the allegations made by Mkhwanazi remain unresolved. He claimed that political interference compromised key police investigations, that attempts were being made to bury evidence of corruption and wrongdoing. If true, these claims could shake the foundations of trust between South Africa's people and its government. For ordinary South Africans, every delay deepens cynicism. Faith in Parliament, already fragile, is eroded further. The longer the committee stalls, the more it risks becoming another chapter in the country's long history of inquiries that promised much but delivered little. The Ad Hoc Committee was meant to shine a light on the allegations of corruption and interference. Instead, it begins in darkness, postponed, disputed, and overshadowed by political maneuvering. 2 inquiries, both delayed. For critics, the pattern is no coincidence. They suspect the ruling ANC of deliberately sabotaging the processes, buying time, weakening momentum, and shielding powerful figures from scrutiny. The ANC, however, insists these are merely procedural hurdles. But the question lingers. Are South Africans witnessing bureaucratic red tape, or a calculated political strategy? Is this simply the messy nature of democracy, or a calculated effort to bury the truth? Only time will tell. For now, the nation waits. As the Mkhwanazi inquiry hangs in the balance, comment, like, share, and subscribe.